Welcome to Informatica Cloud 201 On-Demand course. Module 2, Cloud Mapping Designer, Aggregator, and Normalizer Transformation, How to Use Series. After completing this lesson, you will be able to understand what aggregator transformation is and how it is created. Apply aggregate functions such as sum and average on groups of data. Understand normalizer transformations. Create a normalizer transformation. The aggregator transformation is used to perform aggregate calculations, such as averages and sums on group of data. The aggregator transformation is an active transformation, which means that the number of rows entering the transformation will change after transformation is applied. When you run a mapping that uses an aggregator transformation, the data integration service stores data temporarily in an aggregate cache until it completes the aggregation. It stores group values in an index cache and row data in the data cache. Let's look at an example to understand how the aggregator transformation is used to calculate the quarterly sales value for a company. Suppose we have a source that contains the monthly sales values for the first quarter. When these values are passed through an aggregator transformation, the aggregator transformation performs a sum function on these values and writes a single output to the target. Now let us talk about the group by fields. You can use group by fields to define how to group data for aggregate expressions. The result of an aggregate expression varies based on the groups by fields that you configure. When you configure a group by field, the mapping configuration task groups rows with the same data in the field. The task performs aggregate calculations on each group and writes a result to the last row in the group. When you select more than one group by field, the task creates a group for each unique combination of data in the group by fields. You can configure group by fields on the Group By tab of the Properties panel. Let us take a look at a simple source data on which we can apply the aggregator transformation. As you can see here, the annual sales for each store is distributed across the 4 quarters. Now we want to know the annual sales and quarterly average for each of the stores per year. After applying the aggregator transformation, we can know the store's annual sales and the quarterly average for each year as shown in the image above. Let us now discuss about the normalizer transformation. The normalizer transformation is an active transformation that transforms one incoming row into multiple output rows. When a normalizer transformation receives a row that contains multiple occurring data, it returns a row for each instance of the multiple occurring data. This helps to represent data in more organized manner. Let us imagine we have a table that stores the sales figure for 4 quarters of a year in 4 different columns for 2 different stores. So each row of the table represents one shop and the columns represent the corresponding sales of that shop per 1 quarter. Now our task is to find out what the total sales per shop and quarter combination. We use normalizer transformation. Now the target table will have multiple rows for each stop for total sales for each quarter. You define the fields to be normalized in the Normalize Field tab. When you create a normalized field, you can set the data type to string or number, and then define the precision and scale. Configure the occurs value for a normalized field to define the number of instances the field occurs in the incoming data. The normalizer transformation generates key values for the normalized data. Generated key fields appear on the Normalize Fields tab when you configure the fields to have more than one occurrence. The mapping configuration task generates following keys for the normalized data. Generated key. Normalizer transformation uses one generated key field for all the data to be normalized. When a task runs, it starts the generated key with 1 and increments by 1 for each process row. Generated column ID. It is a column ID value that represents the instance of multiple occurring data. The normalizer transformation uses a generated column ID for each field configured to occur more than one time. Note that when you use a parameter as a source object to provide data for normalizer transformation, use a named field rule in the normalizer to define the incoming fields. When we use a parameter for a source object, field names do not appear in the list of incoming fields until we use a named field rule to add fields. Create fields to represent all of the source fields that you want to use in the normalizer transformation. A major provider of telecommunications network and services in the UK has over 1 million customers with diverse communication needs: telephone, broadband, fiber, security, cloud, etc., for a wide range of companies. So it is required to streamline and accelerate executive decisions by unifying reporting across 9 Salesforce instances deployed across multiple business units. The organization had to bring data from multiple sources, which left the executives with delayed and insufficient insights into bid opportunities. They had to load and extract crucial sales data, including win-loss reports, prospect management, and contract information between flat files and Salesforce. The entire process took more than 14 days, as it involved developing code necessary to transfer and transform data. This data also required to be consolidated and cleansed for single organization-wide dashboard. The organization used Informatica Cloud as a solution to all their business needs. The Cloud Mapping Designer tool of Informatica Cloud helped them to create complex workflows and mappings in a very short span of time. With the help of various transformations like Normalizer, lookups, Aggregator, etc., they were able to transform and consolidate data into a single Salesforce dashboard. The entire process, which was earlier manual and took weeks to complete, is now converted into an automated daily field. Data was available at the exact moment when needed. The organization is now able to handle customer communications way better than what they used to do earlier. In this demo, we will configure mappings in Informatica Cloud and use Normalizer and Aggregator transformation in the mapping. To create a new mapping, log into Informatica Cloud using the credentials. Select Data Integration from the My Services window. In the Data Integration pane, select New from the navigation pane. To create a new mapping, click Mappings from the New Asset window, and then select the mapping option. In the new mapping window, enter the name of the mapping as Normalizer Aggregator Study Analysis. To configure source of the mapping, click the source transformation available on the canvas. In the source properties pane, enter FF marks obtained in the name field and click Source tab. From the drop-down menu for connections, select the local CSV file connection, and from the drop-down menu for source type, select Single Object. To select the source object, click the Select button. The Select Source Object window appears. Select the marksobtained.csv file from the list of available files and click OK. Now we will add a normalizer transformation. Drag and drop the normalizer shape onto the canvas. In the Normalizer Properties pane, enter Normalizer in the name field. In the Normalized Fields tab, select Generate from Incoming Fields from the arrow drop-down. Select Roll Number and Name fields from the list, and click OK. In the Normalize Field tab, select New Field from the arrow drop-down. In the New Field window, enter the name as subject marks. Select Type from the drop-down menu as Number, and Precision as 20, and click OK. Set the value as 4 in the Occurs column of the subject marks. In the Field Mapping tab, map the field as shown on the screen. To add a normalizer expression, drag and drop an expression shape onto the canvas and enter Normalizer Expression in the name field. In the Expression tab, click the plus icon. In the New Field window, enter the field type as Output field, name as subject name, type as string, and precision as 255, and click OK. Click Configure button to configure the expression. In the Field Expression window, enter the expression as shown on the screen. Click Validate to validate the expression and click OK. Configure target for normalized data. In the Target Properties pane, enter Normalizer Output in the name field. In the Incoming Fields tab, under Field Rules, from the drop-down menu for Field Selection Criteria, select Name Fields and click Configure button. In the Include Named Fields window, select Name, Roll Number, Subject Marks, and Subject Name, and click OK. In the Target tab, from the drop-down menu for Connection, select the local CSV file connection, and from the drop-down menu for the target type, select Single Object. To select the target object, click Select button. From the Target Object window, select Normalizer Output.csv and click OK. Select the Field Mapping tab and click Auto Match to match the incoming and target fields automatically. Now we will add an aggregator transformation to the mapping. Drag and drop the aggregator shape onto the canvas and link the Normalizer transformation to the aggregator transformation. In the Aggregator Properties pane, enter Aggregator in the Name field, and in the Group By tab, from the drop-down menu for Field Name, select Roll Number. In the Aggregate tab, select New Field from the arrow drop-down. In the New Field window, select Field Type as Output Field, Name as Percentage, and Type as Double, and click OK. Click Configure to configure the percentage field. Enter the expression as shown on the screen and click OK. To add a target for the normalized and aggregated data, drag and drop the target shape onto the canvas and link the aggregator transformation to the target transformation. In the Target Properties pane, enter Normalized Aggregated in the Name field. In the Incoming Fields tab, under the Field Rules, from the drop-down menu for Field Selection Criteria, select Named Fields. Click Configure in the Include Named Fields window. Select Name, Percentage, and Roll Number and click OK. In the Target tab from the drop-down menu of Connection, select the local CSV file connection. And from the drop-down menu of Target Type, select Single Object. To select the target object, click the Select button. From the Target Object window, select Normalized Aggregated.csv and click OK. Select the Field Mapping tab and click Auto Match to match the incoming and target fields automatically. To validate the mapping, click the Validate icon and click the Save button to save the mapping. Click Run, and from the pop-up window, select the active runtime environment. Click Run to run the mapping. Click My Jobs to verify that the task has run successfully. This concludes the demo. You're now ready to perform the lab activity. In this lab, you will configure mappings in the Informatica Cloud, use the normalizer and the aggregator transformations in the mapping. This concludes the Cloud Mapping Designer, Aggregator, and Normalizer transformation module. In summary, we understood what aggregator transformation is and how it is created, applied aggregate functions such as sum and average in groups of data, understood normalizer transformation, and created a normalizer transformation.